Well, hello everyone. I am back, and before I get started, I just want to double check my sound once again to make sure it's not all fuzzy and broken up. So do a test. How are we doing here? Hello, hello. Okay, that echoes, but that's okay. All right. So let's turn that down a little bit. There we go. All right. As I said, welcome back to my stream. Now, today we are going to be building this guy here, USMC AH-1W Marine helicopter. This is 135 scale from Academy. I haven't built a helicopter in many years, so I thought it would be kind of cool to build one of these. It is my first one from Academy, and as you can see, being 135 scale, it's pretty large, over a foot long. So this should be good. I'm just looking at some pictures, and I've gone through the manual here to see what needs to be done, where we're going to be starting off first, as usual with an airplane or any kind of build like that. We're going to start off with the cockpit and those details, although there's not much to it on this thing. They don't even show any kind of a picture of the dials and knobs or anything like that on the pieces for any specific colors that they want me to paint them. Looks like I'm going to be using a lot of silver and black and some steel color or gunmetal. And that's about it for the most part. So as you can see, I've already shown you this one here, and there's not a whole lot of parts to this thing. I mean, other than the smaller, the gun pods and the missile pods on the sides, really there's more parts going into the weaponry on this thing than anything else. Here we've got the main rotor blades on this one, and the tail rotor there. Yeah, as you might be able to tell on the camera, maybe not, maybe yes, or maybe at that angle, I have already painted this. I spray painted it the lighter gray. Well, it's a more real gray if you look at these. I don't think the camera's really showing it properly. The gray color that this thing was molded in is almost like a, I want to say a yellowy gray. And if you can see in the background, the next thing I'm going to be building is the A-10 Warthog. It's another marine plane, and I wanted to have them both the same shade of gray. So I've opened them up and I've pre-painted them both the same color, so that they'll be consistent in the colors. So that's why you see there's different colors of gray on this thing. It's because I've already pre-painted it. And now I've gone through the book and I see like these pieces here, these aren't going to be gray at all. But that's fine. That is totally fine. And that's it for the sprues. We've got the big clear canopy. It looks like they've given me the option to have the front side open here and then the rear side open on this side if I want to, but then they've got the panels separately on there. So leave those like that. We've got a warning and assembling of model kits. Looks like this was all in Korean and then English. So obviously Academy is a Korean company. That's kind of cool. Got a great big decal sheet with some really interesting snake decals. I don't think I'm going to be using these great big obnoxious snake decals because it's just going to take up so much of the side. The whole side is going to be a decal, and I don't really like that. So what I did is I went online to take a look at some pictures of this helicopter to get an idea of what kind of paint pattern I want to use. I'm just looking for the cockpit sprue that has the cockpit pieces on it. Looks like it's this first one that I put away. So put that there, I'll put this here. So I'll show you the kind of thing that I'm going to be going for as far as a paint and color scheme. Let's see if I can bring that up here. I think I've got it up here. So there we've got this one. You can see it's kind of a two-tone. You got the lighter gray here, and then you got the darker gray going along the top, which they've done, of course, they've matched the color. Looks like the city lines from New York and the Twin Towers. Continuing that dark color up at the top, along there, and then looks like along the nose there, it's that same dark colored gray. So that's kind of one thing that seems to be a popular thing. So it looks like they've got some kind of a snake here too, like a Cobra head of some sort, but it doesn't take up the whole side of the helicopter. So, and then of course that missile pod is that olive drab color there. So that's one picture. And here's another one. Similar fashion, we've got the dark gray going along the top of the side. I don't know what you call those, fins, pods, weapon pods. Also along here, the top is a darker gray. But it looks like this section here is not the same shade of gray as here, but not as dark as here. It's like in between or something. And you can see the line here that kind of defines it. And then suddenly it's a little bit darker gray here. I don't know if that's just because of the lighting on this thing, or if that's actually supposed to be like that. I got a third picture that I copied. Again, this one's got the dark, so that seems to be a common theme. What they do is have this top part of the helicopter is a darker gray. So I'm going to do that. That's what I'm going to go for. Now, as far as what we have for actually painting that, this is actually kind of a darker gray. In hindsight, maybe I should have looked at pictures of this thing before I spray painted it, because I definitely have lighter grays that could have been used. Let's put this here. Like I could use the light ghost gray as the lighter gray. What else could I use? Medium sea gray. medium sea gray is darker, so I don't want that. What is this? That's medium gray. I think medium gray is what I painted this. Yes. I painted this medium gray. Maybe the medium gray is what I use. It's dark. So, the only other option I have for a lighter gray than that would be the light gray, but this is the IGN. And I don't think that's a good match. So what I might do, I could do this combination here. Where did I put it now? This one. I could do light ghost gray and then the medium gray for the top. That might look okay. So I'm going to have to mask off all of this along here, along that part there, and some of these other pieces, and do some more painting in the light ghost gray. It's probably what I'm going to wind up doing. So my light ghost gray is actually only about half full, and if I'm going to be painting about 2/3 of this in that color, that's going to mean I need to invest in some more. Hopefully my local hobby shop has some, because word on the street is that they are actually having some troubles from their suppliers getting the paints in from Japan. Not sure why. They're not sure why, but their suppliers having problems nonetheless. So that being said, we can start working on the cockpit. I've gone through here like I normally do, and I kind of mark down on each little part what color it needs to be, based off of their little chart here at the bottom. Otherwise I have to keep on referring back to the chart every time I get through different pages and go, oh, what was number 11? What color is that? And then I have to flip back and find the chart and see what 11 is. Well, this way I go through ahead of time and I just write down the color. So I know number 11, that's red or black or whatever it is, right? And it makes my life a little bit easier when I do that. So, set this up funny so that I can get started. It's a hot one in here today. I checked my thermostat about half an hour ago and it's 26 degrees. That, of course, is Celsius. If you're one of those people that go by Fahrenheit, that's 78.8 degrees according to Google. So that's that. Just let me check something here. All right. So let's see here. We want C11. I believe this is section C, and that's number 11. It's the main main part. Got a couple of seats. We got the back C7, that's this guy. That's going to go in the back. We've got C22 and 39. I need to look for these here. 22 and 39. I have this upside down. 14, 15, 22. Looks like a control stick. 39, 5, 6, 7, 44, 33, 37, 39. Looks like another control stick. Okay, I'll start with those for now, because looks like I do actually have a lot of painting to do on the instrument cluster there. There are a whole lot of dials. That should be fun. And there's the two seats. Looks like I painted the back side of them, but not the front. It doesn't really matter so much because the front, I need to paint those seats on this one are an olive drab color, so that's alright. And I might just leave them on here like that and paint them while they're on there. So let's clean these up a little bit. Where's my knife? Oh, I just realized I forgot to turn some music on. Let's see here. There we go. Don't need that up anymore. There we go. That way when I stop talking it's not quite so quiet. The last model I built, I had taken off the main joystick after painting it, and I put it down, I put it aside, and then I continued on with something else because I wasn't ready to actually put it in. I had just taken it off the sprue in preparation for it, but not ready to actually put it on the plane. And then I left it for a day, and then I came back to it, and the control stick was gone. And I couldn't find it anywhere. And so that wasn't very good. This kind of sits there. And this gets to balance at a mysterious angle this way. However it's going to sit. You don't really have it lock in or anything like that. It just kind of sits on. It's molded at an angle, but I'm just going to be hoping it's going to stay at the angle it's supposed to be. Blue. And we'll see how this does. So we'll just hope that that's the correct angle like that. It looks like that's right. We'll let that sit. Where do these control sticks go? One goes there, one goes there. Okay. So this guy funny how they have this thing just lying down. It's got a hole, but there's no... Oh yeah, there's a tiny little knob on there for it to sit. Just at that angle like that. But if I install it, I can't paint the things underneath. So I need to do some painting on here first before I put that one on. I can put this one in. That shouldn't be a problem. Except, oh no, that's fine. So this will go here, just like that. Or does it go like that? I think it goes like that. That looks a little more, yeah, definitely like that. I should probably get on the Google and look at some pictures of the cockpit of this thing to see just exactly how these things look all together and everything. Okay, so I gotta get some paint. And I need to put this in a spot where it's not going to get lost. And that spot is going to be on top of this can of paint. Okay, so I am going to get my little water dish and put some water in it so that I can clean my brush. And I will be back in a moment. Okay, so put you here. We need black, and I want to use this brush just because I don't know if you can see on the camera the panels that I need to paint, and it doesn't really want to show. What about in this picture here? That will zoom or focus in. You see the panels on there. They're very hard to tell. The camera's not doing it justice. So there are little panels along the edges here where all the switches and dials and stuff are. So I'll put down some black paint on those. And then after that, I'll have some options as to what I want to do with the dials and buttons. Because sometimes you can just take something and kind of scrape it over the top of the buttons, the raised parts, and that looks pretty good. And then other times that just isn't an option. They haven't molded them that distinct, and so you have to actually paint them. And then of course there's different options on how to paint them. Some guys use the tip of a toothpick, other guys use a brush. I guess it depends on what kind of quality brush you have and how steady your hands are. I don't really have the steadiest hand, so I usually try to do a combination of scraping the buttons to get the black paint off, and then just barely touching them with like a silver or something like that. That's what I typically do. There's that one done. Moving on down. So I need to do this part. There's a couple little guys right there. And moving up to the front. This one. So this guy. I did close my curtain, my blinds a little bit earlier because I was getting a lot of glare. It might be okay to open them up again. Now, if I do happen to really screw this up, I can always come back with some gray and touch up the edges and make it a little more crisp looking. So I tend to have to do that quite a bit. Instead, my hands aren't the steadiest hands. There we go. So that's one side done. Now you can see the panels on there, right? So that's one side. Now we gotta do the other side. I think while I'm at the hobby store looking for paint, I might invest in a new brush. So this one's kind of getting a little old and haggard. It doesn't have a real fine tip on it anymore. Especially not right now. Paint on it. That's better. This panel almost don't need a tiny brush for. It's like one big long panel. And at the end it looks like they got an AM/FM cassette radio out of a car. You know those old style AM/FM radios in cars that, you know, like from the 80s or wherever, you got the two knobs and then the little display in the center. That's what it looks like. They got two of them right side by side here. If I didn't know better, that's what I think they were. Okay. I don't know if you can see, but I'm going to have to come back and clean up the edge of that one a little bit because, well, I have shaky hands today and I'm not so great brush. But at least knowing that I can come back and redo it makes me not worry so much that I've messed up or that I haven't painted it perfect. So if it kind of looks like crap, oh well. And while I'm at it, I might as well paint the joystick on this because I know this is going to be black. There we go. I think I'm going to paint these boxes in the back here black too, and the little wires that go to them. And add a bit of detail. This one box looks like they've mounted a car battery sideways. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's not what it is, but sure it looks like it. Here we go. A couple of boxes on the end now on the back panel. Yeah, so we'll call that done for the black. at least for that part anyway. Of course, nowhere near actually being done in there. I have to make sure that I got all of the paint off there, otherwise next time we go to use the brush, it will be very stiff until the, whatever color I'm using actually loosens it up again. Okay, so got a few more pieces to put in here. I got the petals. We can put those on the floor. And they want C5. I guess I'm not done with the black. C5 and 10. Let's see here. So this is C10. And they want C5. There's 2, 6, 5. It's now on the floor, and that was going to get glued to this. Where's those petals? Those petals are C40. Right there. Okay, let's find the floor piece. I actually felt it hit my foot. Here it is. Make sure it out of the way. There we go. So, let's clean these up. Almost dropped it again. Okay, that's ready to go on. Almost. Okay, that's ready to go in. This guy. They want me to paint this thing completely black, but it also goes on this panel somehow. I gotta clean it up a little bit. I gotta clean up this panel. So this guy, I show it just going in there like that, even though there's a hole in it. There's no knob to go in, so it just goes on it like that, and that's it. So I guess I can glue that on just like that. Let that sit until I'm ready to actually put it in there. And that's that, just like that. So I'm just going to set this aside for now. Let that set. We can put the pedals in. Where did they go? Fat fingers. Here we go. Pedals are in. Let's see, this guy. You want me to put F5 on top, but where does it go in here? A certain spot that it's going to. I guess it just lines up at the edge like that. And just sits there like so. What I am going to do, I'm going to use my panel line accent color to do all the dials. I'm not really going to see them because of how closely confined the cockpit is, but so I don't see a lot of point in trying to paint all the details of the dials in there. So if I use the panel line accenter, it'll go around the creases of each individual one and we'll just kind of highlight them. I think that's probably going to be my best bet. And I think, you know, once it's all together and you're trying to look in the canopy, you'll see that there's some highlights and some details there, and I think that's mainly what's going to be the important thing. The beauty of this stuff, I just have to touch it and it fills it in. So even having fat fingers doesn't change anything. It's still going to look okay. Highlight around these dials. Pretty good. And that's that. I don't know if the camera will show it. Too dark there. Let's see. That's the difference between being painted and not. And it's just, all I've done is just highlighted a bunch of it with the panel line accent color. And it goes from looking like nothing to looking like that. I'll do the same with this one. I'll do that now. A little bit more difficult now that I've got a control stick on it, but that's okay. And there's, this one looks like all done. So that turned out pretty good, I think. Not too bad. Okay, so I can put those on now. This one goes at the very front. Somehow. Just goes on here like that. Once again, I'm kind of left to decide what angle it sits at. I might be getting ahead of myself because I still haven't put the seats in. And it's very possible if I try and put the seat in after this, the control stick might get in the way. So I'm going to go, and I'm going to wait for that. The rear seat, on the other hand, shouldn't be a problem. So I can put this in. Clean this up a little bit there. It's a little bit rough still. My sound is better? Yes, thank you. I don't know what happened before. I think it was just a one-time thing. I've tried doing different things like turning fans on and off and stuff like that, and nothing seems to, I can't seem to duplicate what the problem was. So, yeah, so I just say, yeah, it's the way that one was. There's nothing I can do about it. And hopefully that was the one and only time. So, okay, there's that. So now I'm going to get my olive drab color, which I don't have on my desk, for my seats. Let's put this over here. Here it is. Olive drab for the seats. Just sit this here for now. Figure maybe about another hour I'll have to work on this. I should be able to get the cockpit done anyway. It didn't come out very good. It's mixed enough. That looks a little more like a drabby olive. Open my blinds, give myself a little more light here. actually want me to paint the seat belts on this a darker olive drab. They want me to mix some blacking with the olive drab to do the colors of the seat belts. I'll probably do that later. Definitely after this is dried. What would have been nice is if they had made the seats an actual separate piece that you could paint and then install into this bucket. Especially with the scale that this model is, it would have been nice and it would have been really easy for them to do. Okay, the seats are painted. There we go. Seats are painted. Now I have to let that dry before I can paint the seat belts. I'm going to take this and I'm going to clean this out, and at the same time clean my brush off in the sink rather than there. I'll be right back. Okay, got a clean brush, and my little tray thing is clean again. Let's go get a drink. Okay, let's see something here. All right. I want to test something out real quick. Could somebody say something in the chat, please? I just want to see if something is working or not. Something. Yeah, that works. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I can put this in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in there first, and I'll paint the seat belts once they're in there. And I'm thinking, if they want just a darker green for the belts, why don't I just paint them black? Because they're not going to be, once this is assembled, you're not going to see, like the view inside the cockpit is going to be very limited, and I don't think you would even be able to notice that the seat belts are a darker shade of green. So maybe I'll just do them black, and that way I'll be able to see them at least. I think that's going to be the better way to go as far as being able to see. So that's what I'm going to do. Yes, seatbelts are important. They do save lives. Except for those people who, they survive some kind of crazy accident and then some cop tells them, I think if you were wearing your seatbelt, you would be dead now. And then that person for the rest of their life is thinking, seatbelts don't save lives. I would have died if I'd been wearing mine. Yeah, what about the other 99.8% of accidents wherein the seatbelts save people's lives? They don't really take that into consideration at all. Jesse from Canada. Oh yeah, I know him. He's a good friend of mine from years back. There, now the seatbelt on this one are black. And I think you'd notice that. You can see them there. That's a lot more distinguishable than if I just painted them a slightly darker green. And yeah, I think that's a better choice for sure. And then once I paint the buckles on them silver, you'll see it even better. Whereas if they were just a darker green, all you would see is suddenly there's these buckles there for some reason. And that's it. It's those two. Here we go. Should we go up and over the seat like that? Okay, it's a detail I missed on this one. Okay, now I need to paint this thing black. we go. Now that is black, as they're calling for. Spot that I missed. There we go. Okay, next, I'm going to break out the silver paint. But first, unless your name is Jesse, remember to always wear your seatbelt. Yeah, the people whose names are Jesse, they should wear their belts too. Okay, so first thing I'm going to try doing to do the detail of the switches on here, I'm going to see if just scraping my knife over top of them will work in getting rid of them. I don't want to get rid of them, I just want to get the black paint off. It seems to be working pretty good. I might just get away with doing this. There. It's okay. Now the detail on the actual panel that I've done the outline of doesn't look too great because my lines aren't straight, but the buttons do look pretty good. And something else I could have done, you get the similar results if you use a file. Whatever it is you use, you want it to be flat and not accidentally start bringing up the paint from the lower parts, right? You just want it to graze over top of the raised pieces. And there we have it. So now you'll see, I'm actually going to do it on this little battery looking thing back here too. Okay, Well, if the camera will allow you to see this, or barely, kind of does. What if we do this? Try this scene again. Zoomed in. Let's see if that. You can see just kind of barely. Now the buttons are not black anymore. Like I said, it's not really. The camera's not doing it justice. So now, I'm going to get up a silver. And paint the buckles on the seat belts. And I'm going to pick a couple of little knobs here and there to paint silver. Not a lot of them, but just a few, just to make it stand out. A couple of them here or there. There you go, that's good enough on there. Now, the buckles. And there we go. Just like that. Oh. Just these tiny two little ones. Top. There we go. Next seat. And that seat's done. So those are done. I think installation is next. That's just going to go right there like that. It's going to sit in. It's like the seat is too wide. It's supposed to go in that channel. The seat is too wide to fit in there. barely fits in the back one. It doesn't fit. Oh, this one does kind of fit. I'm going to have to trim on the corners and the sides to get it to fit in there properly. Let's see. Just do this. Just on the side. See how that fits now. Much better. It's a little bit tight on the back. It's all right, just like that. Almost don't need glue. Then again, if this one turns out like Maverick's F14, glue is going to be helpful. If you want to know what happened with that, you'll have to go on my YouTube and check out the video for it. I should not have glued this before shooting it off. There we go. Seats are in. Now, the front dash, that's what I'm going to call it. It just rests in there, and then pick an angle for it to sit at. Say, okay, it just sits like that. Doesn't seem to be a definitive angle that it's supposed to sit at. So that's the way it's going to sit. Though I would expect, at the very least, it should sit flush with that. That's all right. Hopefully that's all right. Oh, you know what? They actually show a picture of it here. That. Very harsh angle. More like that. And of course I've moved it around so much the glue doesn't want to hold it like that. So I'm just going to hold it like this for a minute. And hopefully the glue will set like that. Maybe even on its side. That might be better. Maybe a little better. A little more glue. There we go. And now I want F5. Let's see what F is. I don't know if it's a clear piece or what. This is C. Looking for F. This is D. Is that right about that? I was looking at C and it's actually the symbol for copyright. This is F. Okay. I'm looking for F5. 5. This little guy right there. That little guy. You get the idea of what this is going to be like when it's got the canopy over it, right? Once you got the glass on there and everything, you're not going to see very much in there. Keep that on its side. Now, let's look about what we need to clean up on this guy. Not too much. And this little guy goes right on there. So, dab of glue on there. Backwards. And it goes like that. Just like that. This little clear piece. To be not very stable. Okay, now if we just stay like that, okay, and they want me to paint each side of that little clear piece black. And I need C41. This is C. I need 41. It's 40, 14. It's going to be small. on, right there. That little guy there. And 44. I saw 44 right there. Little joysticks everywhere. Okay. Do I want those a certain color? 44, black. 41, black. That one that I put on top of the paint over here, black. Black, black, black. And once I got these glued on, I'm going to call it a day. And continue next time. The cockpit will be finished. And we can move on to putting the two halves together. Okay, so this guy goes on that side, in that hole. Tweezers. There's that one. Next one. Last. This one. This was a bit of a pain because it kind of sits up, raised up from the panel, but it doesn't want to sit. That's okay. All right, so I've got to paint those three pieces black, and then the cockpit's done. But I'm going to call it a day, say that's done. Yeah, I think that's enough progress so far. I think before I get too carried away on putting the two halves of the fuselage together, I want to get that second color painted on there. Right? I want to get these painted the lighter gray before I continue with it. So that's going to be my my own project, is finding some more of this stuff in the meantime. So this is just, none of my other colors look that great on it. The light ghost gray isn't quite light enough. So yeah, that's no good. It actually is a light ghost gray that I need to get more of. And that's what color this is going to be. It's light ghost gray with a darker gray along the top. So, but that'll be next time. For now, we're done for the day. And so we're going to call it quits, at least for now. So thank you guys for watching. And too soon? Yeah. Well, it kind of happens sometimes. You have to put the build on pause when you run into a snag like you need more paint. I wasn't expecting it. So I need to buy more paint. Like I said, well, it's Easter Monday, so the store's closed now. I can't even go and buy it today if I wanted to. So that's kind of where I'm at, is having to wait. I could sit and paint other parts in preparation, but yeah, even the instructions, it shows painting the darker color along the top there. It doesn't show too much detail on it, but that's it. I don't think it shows an overhead view of it complete. No. It does show right there, it shows the top. It actually gives me the two colors that they want me to paint. I just don't know what they're calling the colors. Let's go back to the beginning here. What are those colors that they're calling for? 15 and 16. 15 they're calling it gray and grayish blue as the darker color, and then 16 is the light ghost gray. So the light ghost gray I have right here is the color that I'm supposed to paint it, and then I'm supposed to paint the darker color a grayish blue, which they don't have a color called grayish blue, so I'm going to use medium gray. Well, I already have used medium gray. I've already painted the darker gray. So that's my goal, is to get another can of light ghost gray. Hopefully tomorrow. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and until next time, stay safe out there.